So, Marcella, the object of this Grisomoto's grief, his unrequited love, comes to the funeral, and to reply, "I do not come, O Ambrosio, for any of the causes you have mentioned," Marcella responded, "but I return here on my own behalf to explain how unreasonable are those who in their grief blame me for the death of Grisomoto. And so I beg all those present to hear me, for there will be no need to spend much time or waste many words to persuade discerning men of the truth. Heaven made me, as all of you so say, so beautiful that you cannot resist my beauty, and are compelled to love me, and because of the love you show me, you claim that I am obliged to love you in return. I know, with the natural understanding that God has given me, that everything beautiful is lovable, but I cannot grasp why, simply because it is loved, the thing loved for its beauty is obliged to love the one who loves it. Further, the lover of the beautiful thing might be ugly. Since ugliness is worthy of being avoided, it is absurd for anyone to say, "I love you because you are beautiful. You must love me even though I am ugly." But in the event the two are equally beautiful, it does not mean that their desires are necessarily equal, for not all beauties fall in love. Some are a pleasure to the eye, but do not surrender their will, because if all beauties loved and surrendered, there would be a whirl of confused and misled wills, not knowing where they should stop, for since beautiful subjects are infinite, desires would have to be infinite too. According to what I have heard, true love is not divided, and must be voluntary, not forced. If this is true, as I believe it is, why do you want to force me to surrender my will, obliged to do so simply because you say you love me? But if this is not true, then tell me, if the heaven made me beautiful had made me ugly instead, would it be fair for me to complain that none of you love me? Moreover, you must consider that I did not choose the beauty I have, and, such as it is, heaven gave it to me freely, without my requesting or choosing it. Just as the viper does not deserve to be blamed for its venom, although it kills, since it was given the venom by nature, I do not deserve to be reproved for being beautiful. For beauty in the chaste woman is like a distant fire or sharp-edged sword. They do not burn or cut the person who does not approach them. Honor and virtue are adornments of the soul, without which the body is not truly beautiful, even if it seems to be so. And if chastity is one of the virtues that most adorn and beautify both body and soul, why should a woman, loved for being beautiful, lose that virtue in order to satisfy the desires of a man who, for the sake of his pleasure, attempts with all his might and main to have her lose it? I was born free, and in order to live free I choose the solitude of the countryside. The trees of these mountains are my companions, the clear waters of the streams my mirrors. I communicate my thoughts and my beauty to the trees and to the waters. I am a distant fire and a far-off sword. Those whose eyes force them to fall in love with me I have discouraged with my words. If desire feeds on hopes, and since I have given no hope to Grismoto, or to any other man regarding these desires, it is correct to say that his obstinacy, not my cruelty, is what killed him. And if you claim that his thoughts were virtuous, and for this reason I was obliged to respond to them, I say that when he revealed to me the virtue of his desire, on the very spot where his grave is now being dug, I told him that mine was to live perpetually alone, and have only the earth enjoy the fruit of my seclusion and the spoils of my beauty. And if he, despite that discouragement, wished to persist against all hope and sail into the wind, why be surprised if he drowned in the middle of the gulf on his folly? If I had kept him by me, I would have been false. If I had gratified him, I would have gone against my own best intentions and purposes. He persisted, though I discouraged him. He despaired, though I did not despise him. Tell me now if it is reasonable to blame me for his grief. Let the one I deceived complain. Let the man despair to whom I did not grant a hope I had promised, or speak if I had called him, or boast if I had accepted him. But no man can call me cruel or a murderer if I do not promise, deceive, call to, or accept him. Until now, heaven has ordained that I love, and to think that I shall love of my own accord is to think the impossible. Let this general discouragement serve for each of those who solicit me for his own advantage. Let it be understood from this day forth that if anyone dies because of me, he does not die of jealousy or misfortune, because she who loves no one cannot make anyone jealous, and discouragements should not be taken for disdain. Let him who calls me savage Balas avoid me as he would something harmful and evil. Let him who calls me ungrateful not serve me, unapproachable not approach me, cruel not follow me. Let him not seek out, serve, approach, or follow in any way this savage, ungrateful, cruel, unapproachable Balask. For if his impatience and rash desire killed Grismolto, why should my virtuous behaviour and reserve be blamed? If I preserve my purity in the company of trees, why should a man want me to lose it if he wants me to keep it in the company of men? And as you know, I have wealth of my own. I do not desire anyone else's. I am free, and do not care to submit to another. I do not love or despise anyone. I do not deceive this one or so solicit that one. I do not mock one or amuse myself with another. The honest conversation of the shepherdess from these hamlets and tending to my goats are my entertainment. The limits of my desire are these mountains, and if they go beyond here, it is to contemplate the beauty of heaven and the steps whereby the soul travels to its first home. And having said this, and not waiting to hear any response, she turned her back and entered the densest part of the nearby forest, leaving all those present filled with admiration for as much for her intelligence as for her beauty. And some, those who were pierced by the powerful arrow of the light in her beautiful eyes, gave indications of wishing to follow her, disregarding the patent discouragement they had heard. Seeing this, Don Quixote thought it an appropriate time to put his chivalry into practice by coming to the aid of the maiden in distress. He placed his hand on the hilt of his sword, and in a loud, clear voice he said, "Let no person, whatever his circumstance or condition, dare to follow the beautiful Marcella, lest he fall victim to my fury and outrage. She has shown with clear and sufficient reasons that she bears little or no blame in the death of Grismoto, and she has also shown how far she is from acquiescing to the desires of any who love her, and therefore it is just then rather that being followed and persecuted she should be honored and esteemed by all good people in the world, for she has shown herself to be the only woman in it who lives who she has shown herself to be the only woman in it who lives with so virtuous a desire."